Hello everyone, myself Dr. Sanjay Kumar Soni, oral and maxillofacial surgeon. In this video, I am going to discuss about venous drainage of head, neck and brain. The venous system is a network of conducts. Veins transport deoxygenated blood from tissue to the heart except pulmonary and umbilical vein, which carry oxygenated blood to the heart. Equally important, they serve as a major reservoir of blood. About 80% of entire blood volume of body is in the systemic circulation and 16% in the heart and lungs. Of the 84% in the systemic circulation, 64% is in veins, 13% in arteries and 7% in systemic arterioles and capillaries. As shown in the diagram, the volume of the blood which can accumulate in venous network of neck. Veins are classified as superficial vein are those whose course is close to surface of body and no corresponding arteries. Deep vein runs deeper in body and have corresponding artery. Communicating vein or perforator veins that connect superficial vein to deep veins. Pulmonary vein are set of veins that carry oxygenated blood from lungs to heart. Systemic vein drains the tissue of body and deliver deoxygenated blood to the heart. How does the venous system work? The venous system in the body returns deoxygenated blood from all parts of the body, including the organs, to the right side of and then on to the lungs to be oxygenated. From the lungs, the oxygenated blood passes to the left part of the heart to be pumped to all the tissue and organ of the human body. Now the embryology of venous system. How does the venous system develop? The earliest veins are the right and left anterior cardinal veins that drain the cranial part of the embryo, including the brain. Number 2. The left and right posterior cardinal veins that drains the caudal part of the embryo. Anterior and posterior cardinal veins of each side join to form the cardinal veins or ducts of Cuvier, which open into the corresponding horns of sinus venosus. Fate of anterior cardinal and common cardinal veins. The anterior cardinal veins are joined by the subclavian veins that drains the forelimbs. Anterior cardinal veins becomes interconnected by a transverse anastomosis proximal to their junction with the subclavian veins. The part of the left cardinal vein caudal to this anastomosis retrogresses and so does the left common cardinal vein. Development of veins. The superior vena cava is derived from the right anterior cardinal vein caudal to the transverse anastomosis with the left anterior cardinal vein. The right common cardinal vein and the right horn of the sinus venosus forms part of the right atrium. Thus, the superior vena cava comes to open into this chamber. The right brachiocephalic vein is derived from the right anterior cardinal vein between the point of its junction with the subclavian vein and the point of its junction with the transverse anastomosis. The left brachiocephalic vein is derived from the part of the left anterior cardinal vein corresponding to the right brachiocephalic vein and the transverse intercardinal anastomosis. The internal jugular vein. The internal jugular vein developed from the part of the anterior cardinal vein cranial to their junction with the subclavian vein. Now coming on to the subclavian vein, the anterior and posterior cardinal veins receive a series of intersegmental veins from the body wall, corresponding to the intersegmental branches of the dorsal aorta. The subclavian veins are found by considerable enlargement of one of these veins in the region of upper limb bud. Now coming on to the difference between artery and vein. Veins are characterized by relatively thin wall in comparison to arterioles of similar size and by a large capacitance. Wall thickness is not correlated exactly to the size of the vein, and veins in different regions varies. For example, the wall is thicker in veins of the leg as compared to the veins of the similar size in arm. Most veins have valves to prevent reflex of blood. A valve is formed by an inward projection of the tunica intima, strengthened by collagen and elastic fibers and covered by endothelium, which differ in orientation of its two surfaces. Surface facing the walls have transversely arranged endothelial cells, where on the luminal surface of the valve over which the main stream of blood flow cells are arranged longitudinally in the direction of flow. These valves are of great importance, especially in the legs, where venous return is against gravity. Valves are blood is moved toward the heart by the intermittent pressure produced by contraction of the surrounding muscles. Valves are absent in the veins of thorax and abdomen. Arteriovenous anastomosis are direct connections between smaller arteries and vein. Connecting vessels may be straight or coiled and often possesses a thick muscular tunic. Under sympathetic control, the vessel is able to completely, diverting blood into the capillary bed. Simple arteriovenous anastomosis are widespread and occur notably in the skin of the nose, lip, and ear. Nasal and alimentary mucosa, erectile tissue, tongue, thyroid gland, and sympathetic ganglia. In the newborn child, there are few arteriovenous anastomosis, but they develop rapidly during the early years. In old age, the atrophy, sclerosis, and diminished in number. These factors contribute to the less efficient temperature regulation which occur at two extreme of ages, i.e. newborn babies and old age individuals. Veins of the head and face include supratrochlear, supraorbital, facial vein, superficial temporal, maxillary vein, thyroid venous plexus, retromandibular, posterior and occipital vein. Veins of the neck are external jugular, posterior external jugular, anterior jugular, internal jugular, subclavian and brachiocephalic vein. Coming on to the veins of the brain, these are diploic, cerebral, cerebellar, dural venous sinuses, etc. Coming on to the supratrochlear vein. The venous drainage of superficial part of the scalp is mainly through the supratrochlear and supraorbital vein. The supratrochlear vein starts on the forehead from venous network which connects to the frontal tributaries of superficial temporal vein. Veins from this forms a single trunk which descends on forehead near midline parallel with its fellow to the bridge of the nose, across which they are joined by a small nasal arches draining dorsum nasi. The vein then diverges, each joining a supraorbital vein to form facial vein near middle canthus of the eye. Supraorbital vein begins near zygomatic process of frontal bone, connecting with superficial and temporal veins, passing medially above orbital opening under orbicularis oculi muscle. It pierces this to form a facial vein by joining to supratrochlear near middle canthus of the eye. In notch, it receives veins from frontal sinus and frontal diploid. Thank you.